You're listening to Folkscene. I'm Allen Larman. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Rick Shea back to the program. His fantastic new album is entitled Smoke Tree Road. It comes to us from Tres Pescadores Records. Let's hear a track off this release, and we'll come back and we'll speak with Rick. The name of this song is El Diablo Manda. This is Rick Shea on Folkscene.
Grows dark and the rooster crows. Shadows lie where the ditchweed grows. Black spirits moving through the night. Walk softly where the light grows dim. Whisper a familiar hymn. You can never know what's hiding in the night. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. Wicked minds will try to hide the truth. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. Walk careful when the devil rules the roost. Fires burning in the night. Smoke obscures a pale moonlight. The past is gone and vanished in the haze. Mothers cry while children sleep. In his room the padre weeps. Neighbors gone and no one knows their names. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. Deceitful minds will try to hide the truth. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. All bets are off when the devil rules the roost. Beast roams the mad dog's howl. The pale king rides out on the prowl. The tide is loose, all innocence is gone. The thief, he wears a rich man's clothes. The center's cracked, it cannot hold. Old friendships fall and crumble in the sand. Black riders pass with wicked scorn to catch the wind and ride the storm. But what the mind omits, the heart cannot forget. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. Wicked minds, they try to hide the truth. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. All hope is gone when the devil rules the roost. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. Malicious minds will try to hide the truth. El Diablo Manda, El Diablo Manda. All hope is gone when the devil rules the roost. All hope is gone when the devil rules the roost.
That was our guest Rick Shea and Folkscene with El Diablo Manda from his great new release, Smoke Tree Road. Rick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Where are you coming to us from today?
Oh, I'm out in Covina in my little garage studio here.
Tell us about Celia Chavez, who sings on that song. I'm not familiar with her.
Celia is just a wonderful vocalist, tours with Enrique Iglesias for a long time. May still be, I'm not sure. She has a duo with Simon Petty, her husband now. They just got married last year. Petty Chavez, just a wonderful singer, wonderful songwriter. I was very, very happy to have her on the album.
And how'd you hook up with her?
Through Simon, we did some shows together. We did a couple of shows, or one show at McCabe's. They came out to the Maui Sugar Mill and did a show there with us, and I think a couple of times at the Cinema Bar. So just over a period of time like that.
And also some great accordion work there by Roberto Rodriguez III. Tell us about him.
Roberto I met through Tony Zamora with his band Tremoloco. I first met him, I think, up in Canada, certainly more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Tony had him come up and we played some dates in Edinburgh and down in Calgary. Just a wonderful player, and he's continued to work with Tony. I work with Tony and his band, the band Tremoloco, just kind of occasionally now on some of the recordings and sometimes on a live date. But that's where I met Roberto, and he just did a phenomenal job, recorded his part in Houston with a friend of his doing the recording. So, yeah, I was really happy to have him also. Really, on this particular track, the musicians really helped make all of the tracks. I'm just really, really happy with everybody that's played with me over the years and on this album. This song in particular was a little out of my, usual sort of range. So Tony Zamora played bass and Cougar Estrada played drums and percussion. The song is really, really comes to life because of everybody that played and sang.
And what was the impetus for that song, Rick?
Everything that's been going on here in Los Angeles, the armed, militia thugs that have been on the street here in Minneapolis and Chicago that have been it's just insanity to me. They've been grabbing people, sometimes citizens. It's just the madness that's on our streets these days, and it's been on the news. Just seeing that, I wrote the song.
Now, if I count right, is this your 13th album?
It is, if you count my first release, which would have been on cassette tape only. But yes, 13 releases.
I think it's one of your best records.
Oh, thank you.
How did you come to music? How did you start playing the guitar?
Well, I wanted to play music from a very young age, even before I had really any idea of what that would be or being a musician. Well, I started playing in a school band, trumpet, in about 4th or 5th grade and enjoyed that a lot. But once I found the guitar, when we came out to California, a friend of mine in school had a guitar. His brother had a guitar, and we used to go over to his house before his brother got home from high school. And he showed me things. I just fell in love with the guitar. It was all about the guitar after that.
And when did you start playing professionally?
I don't know. I probably made some money in high school, did a few little things, if that can be called professionally, but sometime in my early to mid-20s, I kind of made most of my living from playing music. There were a lot of bars and honky-tonks, country bars. I lived up in Crestline when I got started in the San Bernardino Mountains by Lake Arrowhead. There was a lot of, in those days, there was a lot more bars that featured live music, so we played those. Those were mostly weekend sort of gigs. And there were a lot of country bars in every sort of community, San Bernardino, Riverside, and out towards Los Angeles, the Palomino Club. And I just kind of fell into playing those and making sort of a living at it. But at the same time, there was coffee houses and folk music houses. There was a place called the Penny University out in San Bernardino. Jim Ringer and Mary McCaslin played there, all of the folk music people of the day, bluegrass artists. And I played there occasionally on the weekend nights, but for the most part, open mic nights, which I think were Wednesdays or Thursdays. That was a big stepping stone for me. That was a big learning, opportunity for me, being able to play alone or maybe with one or two other people and play songs on acoustic guitar.
Now, these country bars, you had to play like 4 sets all night.
4 to 5 sets, yeah, 9 to 1.
9 to 1:30, 5 nights a week. If you picked up extra gigs, you could do 6 or 7 nights. There was a lot of that around, and a lot of people out in San Bernardino was a little bit removed, but as I played more in Orange County and closer to L.A. County, I started to meet people that were, had real music careers. I met Al Perkins. I met, some other people like that were, playing, recording, and touring. And when they were off, when they weren't, doing any of that, they would just play whatever the gigs were. And you could meet a lot of people, make some connections, and play with some really excellent musicians.
And what was it like slugging it out for like 4 or 5 sets a night?
It wasn't too tough. I was a lot younger then. So I just was on that schedule. I just, that's when I went out and played and worked.
Now, was country the first music that you got attracted to?
No, not at all. I didn't grow up with country music the way a lot of people did, at least that I worked with that were in country bands. But I kind of came in sideways a little bit through the Buffalo Springfield, I guess, and Neil Young and the Flying Burrito Brothers. But after the Flying Burrito Brothers, I discovered country radio and listened to that pretty much primarily. And that was, at a time when Merle Haggard, George Jones, and all the artists like that were on the radio all of the time.
We're visiting with Rick Shea on Folkscene, his new release entitled Smoke Tree Road on Tres Pescadores Records. Let's hear a couple more tracks right now, and we'll pick up the conversation. First up, an Irishman's A Laborer at Heart, and Maria. This is Rick Shea on Folkscene.
My father was a simple man, never one to boast. He paid no mind to lavish things or cared who had the most. He worked an honest day and he got an early start, because an Irishman's a laborer at heart. The first out on the railroads, the first out on the line. Families, friends, and lovers, all sadly left behind. Steady is as steady goes, each day from dawn till dark, because an Irishman's a laborer at heart. A poet and philosopher, he'll work behind the plow, not one to show his feelings or speak of them out loud. You can search for what lies hidden, but you'll find no place to start, because an Irishman's a laborer at heart. He'll work behind the plow, not one to show his feelings or speak of them out loud. You can search for what lies hidden, but you'll find no place to start, because an Irishman's a laborer at heart. My father was a simple man, never one to boast. He paid no mind to lavish things or cared who had the most. He worked an honest day and he got an early start, because an Irishman's a laborer at heart. And in a world of broken promises that can tear your soul apart, An Irishman's a laborer at heart. Yes, an Irishman's a laborer at heart. Vamos a bailar, pronto se va a empezar. Música alegre. Ponte tu vestido rojo, yo me pongo mi sombrero y nos vamos muy alegres. Quiero yo bailar contigo, quiero ser más que tu amigo. Ojalá que tú me creas. Yo te quiero mucho, mucho, yo te quiero mucho, mucho. Y yo quiero estar contigo. Desde que yo te veré, deja dentro de mi ser, ella tiene que ser mía. Eres tú mi consentida, eres tú toda mi vida. Quiero que seas mi María. Cuando estar contento, tu sonrisa tan alegre. Quiero que seas mi María. Vamos a bailar, pronto se va a empezar. Música alegre. Ponte tu vestido rojo, yo me pongo mi sombrero y nos vamos muy alegres. Quiero yo bailar contigo, quiero ser más que tu amigo. Ojalá que tú me creas. Yo te quiero mucho, mucho, yo te quiero mucho, mucho. Y yo quiero estar contigo. Desde que yo te veré, deja dentro de mi ser, ella tiene que ser mía. Eres tú mi consentida, eres tú toda mi vida. Quiero que seas mi María. Cuando estar contento, tu sonrisa tan alegre. Quiero que seas mi María.
That was our guest, Rick Shea, and Folkscene, his great new release, In Taos Smoke Tree Road on Tres Pescadores Records. We heard the song Maria, preceded by Irishman, a Laborer at Heart. Give us some background on those songs, Rick.
Well, an Irishman's a laborer at heart. That's a phrase that I picked up somewhere. I'm not sure where, carried it around for a while. You know, it's said that the Irish built New York City, and they certainly were, there on the railroads along with, the Chinese and Mexican and all the other ethnic groups that were trying to assimilate and move to the U.S. in those days. But I carried the phrase around with me for a while and just thought about it. And, I thought about my own family, my father, my brothers, or my brother and my cousins, and my two boys. And, we kind of all work, everybody I know really just, all of us, we all work. It kind of keeps us centered, keeps us, kind of focused and everything. And when I sat down and wrote the song, it actually kind of, it came together really pretty easily. It surprised me. That doesn't happen very often.
And Maria?
Maria was written by my wife Susie's mom, Jenny, Juanita, and she had showed that to me 20 years ago or longer. And I always loved the song. And what I had for her, she never had any musical background. She didn't play any instruments or anything, but she had just, come over and sang songs for. I'd recorded a couple of other songs of hers at that time. And she just came over and I was in the kitchen where I had a little work area and a desk and a tape recorder, and she said, "Oh, you want to hear a song I wrote?" And I said, "Sure, of course." And she sang it, and I had her, let me record it. It's a little complex, and I had to work out the chords, and then I had her sing it again another time while I played. But I had that around for a long time, and I wanted to do something with it. But it was difficult. It's an up tempo. It's kind of a polka, and I have very little Spanish, so I had to work at it and get some help. I got help from Celia Chavez very much. Helped me with that, pronunciations, checking me, and she sang just wonderfully, beautifully. And again, Tony Zamora played bass, and Cougar Estrada played percussion, and it's lovely. The story on the song, according to my mother-in-law, I have a niece, one of my favorite nieces is named Maria, and she kind of said that it was sort of about her, but she also talked about Maria Felix, Maria Bonita, a film star in Mexico, famous, well-known film star from the 30s, 40s, 50s, I guess, and she had led kind of a colorful life, a lot of relationships, marriages. And, she was kind of a favorite of my mother-in-law. She talked about her a lot. She had been married to Agustin Lara, who was a well-known songwriter for that era, many films. He wrote Piensa en mí and many other wonderful songs. A song for Maria Felix called Maria Bonita that kind of became her name after that. So the song is some mix of that, I guess, between my niece and Maria Felix, Maria Bonita.
Now, Maria, you also have Eleanor Whitmore on the fiddle there.
Yes, did a wonderful job.
And on An Irishman, A Labor at Heart, your friend Tony Gilkinson is playing guitar.
Beautiful guitar solo from Tony.
And Chad Watson on bass.
Yes, Chad came over and played on 3 or 4 songs here. That was some of the first stuff that I was finishing up. Recording took from, I guess I got started in January of last year and was kind of finished up recording by about July and moving on to mixing.
Has making records become easier for you? Or?
Maybe in some ways. I mean, I do so much of the recording myself. I've gotten a little bit better at that, with every record, and I feel like I got the best with this. So that's easier. The songwriting sometimes will come a little bit. Songwriting to me is I don't try and understand it too much, but it's different every time I approach it. I don't write songs continually. I write songs when I'm getting started to do a new album. But, I'll think I know something about it because I've done a fair amount of it. But every time I sit down to write, it's a little bit different. It's its own thing. And each song seems to have a way of trying to determine what it's going to be. It's a process of leading and following, it feels like to me. I'm certainly leading the process, getting things started, but then there's a point where I feel like I have to follow, what's there. And it's very interesting. And I don't try too hard to understand it, and I even get a little nervous even talking about it too much.
So you're not really a disciplined writer then?
I'm not disciplined in that sense. I do have little bits, and I have ideas all of the time and try and keep some sort of notes. They're not very organized. It's just scraps of paper, and I make little recordings of any guitar parts, or a lot of that. I have those going back years and years. Little guitar parts and maybe a little chord progression, and so I do try and hang on to everything, but I don't really sit down to work on it all of the time.
Are you more of a solitary writer?
I am, although I have written with other people. There's a couple of the songs on the album that Wyman Reese and I wrote, but they're actually songs from quite a while ago. One More Night and Trailrider go back, 20 or 25 years. One More Night I had actually recorded for my first album on CD and just felt like doing another version, a newer version of it. And Trailrider I had never recorded except for on Folkscene. We did the program with your dad and your mom and opened the show. I still have that recording somewhere and always liked it and thought it would be a good thing to include.
Visiting with Rick Shea on Folkscene, his new release, Smoke Tree Road on Tres Pescadores Records. Let's hear two more tracks right now, and we'll come back and we'll speak some more. First up, Georgia Bride, and the song we just talked about, the instrumental Trailrider. This is Rick Shea and Folkscene.
Up in the pines, riding into Memphis with my sweet Adeline. I got a cute little buggy, floats just like a dream. Smooth as Coleman Hawkins, sweet as peach ice cream. Ain't nothing finer than a midnight ride with the Wichita Prince and my Georgia bride. Lady of the night, such a sweet bouquet. Turning off the turnpike down the witchy highway. Looking down the alley, the 2nd Avenue, searching for morphine Bill, little cocaine Sue. Ain't nothing finer than a midnight ride with the Wichita Prince and my Georgia bride. With my sweet Adeline, like Jesus on the river, Moses on the mount, the Duke and Marquesas, the Earl and the Count. Ain't nothing finer than a midnight ride with the Wichita Prince and my Georgia bride. Ain't nothing finer than a midnight ride with the Wichita Prince and my Georgia bride.
That was our guest, Rick Shea on Folkscene. We heard Trailrider, preceded by Georgia Bride. Any details like to give about those songs at all, Rick?
Georgia Bride is kind of a strange one. That very much came from the guitar part, the guitar lick that I played. I liked it and worked it into sort of a structure with some chords and everything. It took a little bit of time. I came up with the line, in the chorus, about ain't nothing finer than a midnight ride. I don't know if there's any real story to it. I was really interested in the archaic sounding language in some films like True Grit and in the book. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's kind of portraying people of that time period is talking kind of almost biblical in some colloquial way. I like that a lot, and I just tried to steer the lyrics towards that. And the actual song and the sort of Memphis sort of groove, the way I've recorded a lot of songs over the last few years is I record them by myself to a click track, and I wasn't really sure how that was going to come out. I took that into the studio and had Daniel play drums and Jeff Termes play bass, and it came out as very much of a sort of a New Orleans, Memphis sort of a groove. So it evolved. Every step of the way I was kind of looking at it and listening to it and wondering, well, is this really a song? What do I have here? And, it wasn't until we were in the studio that it was, kind of revealed itself, I guess.
And let's not forget Skip Edwards on the Hammond B3 on that song as well.
Wonderful part from Skip and from Danny Magoo. And Jeff Termes playing the saxophone. And for a long time, even after the drums and the bass and other keyboards were there, I had in mind more of a horn section, like two horns playing, like on a Dr. John or, another New Orleans song, Alan Toussaint or something like that. But I kept trying, and Danny Magoo tried to help me and was trying to work out parts. And Jeff Termes came over a couple of different times and tried to work out the parts the way he was imagining I was explaining and everything like that. And everything was not really working too well. And then somewhere in all of that, he played the solo the way that it is. And I just, going through everything, I finally listened to that, and I realized that was the part, a kind of a simple, just very simple, not a lot of horns, just simple and a beautiful sort of laid-back solo. So it was an interesting song in the way it just continually revealed itself slowly.
Now I'm hearing a lot of different influences in Trailrider. Is there any particular guitar player you were trying to echo there?
Well, Dwayne Eddy, of course, he didn't do too much of the Western stuff, but as kids, my brother and I loved the television show Rawhide and the introduction, the music to that, and Ghost Riders in the Sky, so The Shadows, any of those guitar instrumentals from that era. I don't know how similar this is, but I certainly have always loved those from the time I first started playing the guitar. The actual part, it's just something that when my boys were young, my youngest was probably 2 or not even 2 years. They were with me during the day. I was at home during the day and would play gigs at night. And my wife Susie worked, and we sort of tag team, and we'd kind of switch off. But so they'd be with me, and I had just an old nylon string guitar, and I'd make up silly songs for them. I just, I put their names in them. I do it now a little bit for my grandson and my granddaughter, and kids just love it, just, silly songs and everything. But that, I just made up the instrumental part, and my son Jesse loved it. He would run around the room, and I'd chase him with a guitar, and he'd yell at me to play it faster, and I'd play it as fast as I could. And then at one point, I thought it was mostly a song, and I kind of turned it over to my friend Wyman, and I said, can you think of a third part, and maybe a little more complex as far as the chord structure. And he came back with that. And as I said earlier, we recorded on Folkscene with your dad and your mom, and Brantley Kearns played the fiddle and played a wonderful part. There's no way I could recreate that now, so I sent it to Doug Livingston, who was just the right guy for that. So he played that third part.
Remind people that Rick's new album's called Smoke Tree Road on Trace Pescadores Records. His website, rickshea.com. You're going to play a song for us live. What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play Mexicali Train, which is a little bit of older song. When I was quite a few years younger, I rode the train from Mexicali, Mexico, down to Puerto Vallarta. It was an amazing trip. I'd never been anywhere like that at that time. I saw some things I had not seen before. I saw some things I have not seen since. But at the time, I was a broken-hearted kid. And one of the things I found out is you can't outrun your heartache. They're going to travel along with you like an unwelcome companion.
On the bus to Mexicali, I counted up my bills and all my change. As we rolled on past Tecate through the mountains and the deserts and the sage. Well, in my mind I hear you talking all the same words time and time again. Till the only thing that's left for me is leaving on the Mexicali train. Well, I stumbled off the bus and through the crowded streets went looking for a sign. Past the old men and the vendors, the women who keep giving me the eye. Well, if you ever really loved me, now it's only just the memories that remain. And from the station to the platform, I step onto the Mexicali train. Mexicali down to Guaymas and the dusty streets of Ciudad Obregón. Chickens, dogs, and children running through the car like something's going on. Kerouac and Cassidy, their ghosts still drift across these open plains. As I struggle with the ghosts that followed me onto this Mexicali train. Well, I wake up in the moonlight, passing through some town that's lost in time. By now the car is empty, just some low and dirty voices from behind. Well, if they thought to try and take me, soon enough they see their plan is all in vain. Because I'm just another homeless soul riding on the Mexicali train. And in the darkness and the loneliness, your memory keeps filling up my mind. Your taste, your smell, and all those tender nights are just so hard to leave behind. And I wonder if I ever can forget or ever love someone again. Yeah, but for now I'll try to lose myself somewhere inside this Mexicali train. And at the station in Tequala, the morning sun is blazing in the sky. And the train is filling up with calls of buenos dias and goodbye. And the voice of Castaneda echoes out among the cars like a refrain. Once again I'll try to lose lose myself somewhere inside the Mexicali train. Yeah, once again I'll try to lose myself somewhere inside the Mexicali train.
That was our guest Rick Shea performing live Mexicali Train, and you can find the recorded version of that song on his album Sweet Bernadine. Rick, you spent a lot of time touring with Dave Alvin, and you also played with Chris Gaffney. How did those experiences influence your music?
Well, quite a bit. I learned a lot from Dave Alvin, as much as I ever have from anybody, about touring, about presenting a show, about friendship and respect, and being generous with your. I consider Dave a very close friend and a big, huge influence. I probably, well, it actually started with Chris and probably with Wyman. He first brought me into Chris's band. But through Chris, I met your dad and your mom. I met Bruce Bromberg, and I met Dave Alvin. So I owe a lot to Chris and to Wyman. I was just a guy playing a country bar in San Bernardino, and Wyman used to come in out there. He liked the band. So I owe all of them a lot.
Can you play another song for us live?
Yeah, I'll do a song. This is called The Town Where I Live. I really kind of effed off all through high school. I was surprised that they even let me graduate. I think they just wanted me out of there. And so I ended up out of high school with no really any plan. And at the same time, my family sort of disintegrated around me. My parents split up. The home was gone, so I was on my own, right after high school. Didn't have much of a plan, so there was a rough couple of years. Kind of had to take care of myself and finding jobs, but that was part of it. And San Bernardino was also kind of a tough place to be. San Bernardino at that time was, things were closing down, and all the jobs left over the next few years, and it's really a kind of a rough place these days. It's heartbreaking for any of us that have backgrounds there, but all of that was starting, so... But the other thing that when I started playing at country bars years after that, I used to meet a lot of guys that drove trucks, and a lot of them came from smaller towns in the Midwest and all over the country, really. But they would tell me that if they grew up there and their family was there and they wanted to stay there, that they had two choices. It was the military or drive a truck. All the jobs were gone in a lot of small towns. So that's kind of what I had in mind writing this song.
With the town where I live is ragged and old, too hot in the summer and the winter's too cold. The daytime's are weary and the night brings you down. You could waste your whole life in this ragged old town. Work's hard to find in the town where I live, and it all seems to take a lot more than it gives. They say you're too young, or they say you're too old, or the job's just been filled, boy, you're moving too slow. Here with the town where I live, man, is ragged and old, too hot in the summer and the winter's too cold. The daytime's are weary and the night brings you down. You could waste your whole life in this ragged old town. I feel like a ghost in this town where I live, hanging out and hanging on, taking all I can give, Sometimes I wonder why I hang around here. But you ain't got much choice, man, your choice is real clear. I might catch a ride, or I might jump a train, but I'd just be someplace where it all looked the same. Here with a town where I live, man, is ragged and old. Too hot in the summer and the winter's too cold. The daytime's a weary and the night brings you down. You could waste your whole life in this ragged old town. Here with a town where I live, man, is ragged and old. Too hot in the summer and the winter's too cold. The daytime's a weary and the night brings you down. You could waste your whole life in this ragged old town. Yeah, you could waste your whole life in this ragged old town. You could waste your whole goddamn life in this ragged old town.
That was our guest, Rick Shea, performing live the song The Town Where I Live, which is also on the album The Town Where I Live. I should tell people you're going to be appearing in concert. You appear every third Wednesday?
Every third Wednesday. I have a residency out at the Maui Sugar Mill Saloon. This is our third year doing this, and we always have a guest. So we start off the evening at 8:30. I'll play a short set with my band, The Lose and End, which features Tony Gilkison and Dale Daniel and Jeff Termes. And then we'll always have a guest. Last month we had David Serby, my good friend David Serby and his band. And coming up this month in May on the 20th, it'll be Icy Hawks in L.A. Robbie Folks was out there in the beginning. Tremoloco has come and done the show with us. I have a real variety, so it's not just country music at all.
Remind you again, that's May 20th. Rick Shea and Losing End at the Maui Sugar Mill in Tarzana, 18389 Ventura Boulevard. And you can go to rickshea.com for more information. And you can learn all about Rick's great releases on there as well. So you've gotten some great reviews in this album. You got 4 or 5 stars from Mojo?
Yes, gotten very good reviews. I'm very happy about that.
And do you have any plans to go over to Europe or anything else in the future?
I don't right now. I haven't been to Europe. I was in Ireland and the UK in 2019. The pandemic really slowed things down for me, and I think for a lot of other people too. So I'm certainly hoping to. The political situation internationally doesn't make it too much easier, but I have a bit of a standing offer in Ireland that I'm hoping to take advantage of and turn that into a bit of a tour, but no real plans yet.
Well, Rick, this hour's gone by really fast. Can you close out with a song for us?
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to do that. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you to Folkscene. Such a pleasure to be on the program. This is a song called Love and Desperation that was on my, that was the title of my last album that I released in 2020. And I don't think my childhood growing up was any rougher than a lot of other people, but my parents were just sort of neglectful, and I think that was kind of a trend. That was sort of, my friends and I, we ran wild. When I was in high school, I could be gone for a weekend or a week in the summer and just, come in and out. I sort of ran wild. I was a wild kid, so I kind of got a little family history into this song, and then a little bit more, I guess. So this is called Love and Desperation.
Someone robbed the northern Maine, flew off south in a driving rain. You think they might not know your name, but they know your reputation. Yeah, well, a dark-skinned gal is good to me, sweet and kind as she can be. She knows things that I can't see, but she tells no tales or stories. my brother walks a lonesome road, tired as a heavy load, believes the things that he's been told, but he holds no expectations. Yeah, well, Nashville's a rugged town, picks you up and knocks you down, leaves you in the lost and found without a word or a warning. Yeah, well, the devil plays a crooked game. The odds are long and dead as aim. And you know you'll play him just the same, 'cause you can't resist temptation. Yeah, my mother was a wild thing. She loved to dance, she loved to sing. But she left one day in early spring 'cause her children were a burden. My father was a solemn man, a steady voice, a steady hand, but there were things he did not understand about love and desperation. Yeah, well, someone robbed the northern Maine, flew off south in a driving rain. You think they might not know your name, but they know your reputation. Yeah, you think they might not know your name, but they know your reputation.
Well, Rick, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Alan.
You listen to Folkscene, today's very special guest, Rick Shea. I'm Allen Larman. This program was produced by Peter Cutler.